It's That Nerd Ryan here, and today we're actually going to start a new series. We're pretty close to doing the Every Superhero Movie Ever movie night thing, whatever we're going to call it. But I figured Marvel needs its own thing, not only because I make Marvel videos on Monday, but also because there's so many Marvel movies that I feel it would kind of be a disservice to you guys if I added that to movie night. So we're going to do a Marvel chronological watch through. This is not going to be every week. It'll be maybe twice a month, if that. Obviously, like if something Marvel comes out, that takes priority over this chronological rewatch. But when we get to TV shows in Phase 4, it's going to be by episode. So it's going to be more detailed than the reviews and everything like that for the shows. For some of the movies, this is going to be my first time reviewing them for you guys. Some of the other stuff, it'll be stuff that I've noticed on a rewatch and stuff like that. So we will pick up with the first movie being Captain America, the First Avenger, which you guys probably can't see from the camera there, but that's fine. So this is technically the 5th Marvel movie, but is the first chronological to happen. Also, the next video will actually be shorter. It's going to be the Marvel one-shot Agent Carter, because we are doing everything in the MCU. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. So this is the 5th movie in the MCU, but the first chronological. And this shows the origin of Captain America. So for a quick plot summary, basically it's during World War II. The Red Skull finds an ancient artifact from Norse mythology called the Tesseract. Really quick, we're actually going to explain this as if we've never seen Marvel before, just so everything lays out. Because, of course, everybody by now knows what the Tesseract is. Everybody knows what it does. But we want to look at this as we've never seen Marvel. So, yeah. So, the Red Skull finds this item called the Tesseract. He's basically working for Germany during World War II, is the best way I could say it. And he starts experimenting on it. We then cut to a tiny Steve Rogers, who is built like a 14-year-old boy trying to join the army. Watching this now, it is kind of very funny to like see, because you don't imagine Chris Evans looking like that. I know he used a body double in that, because it literally looks like a 14-year-old boy. But yeah, just it does feel awkward, like they kind of plastered Chris Evans' head on top of a little kid, it feels like. So like the head is disproportional to the rest of the body, which feels weird, but because he's very tiny and has a lot of medical issues, he cannot join the army. But his best friend Bucky does. We also get introduced to a famous line of "I can do this all day" at that point, and Bucky gets sent off, but not before they go to the World's Fair. At the World's Fair, they get to meet they get to see a presentation from a Howard Stark. And during the presentation, Steve wanders off, only to try to be recruited again. Bucky warns him that, like, they might arrest you for fraud, or they might even send you, which is worse, which is true, but Steve wants to fight and stand up for the little guy. So Bucky lets him go and gets sent off to fight the war, and Steve tries again. In that, we meet Dr. Erskine, who is a German scientist who's defected over to the US to create a super soldier. And he finds Steve to be the perfect candidate. So to prove it to the rest of the United States Army, they go through some military training with some other people, and it shows that Steve's not only a good heart, but also smart, can think outside the box. So there's a part where they're running, and everybody's trying to get a flag so they don't have to continue running. After everybody's done trying to climb the pole, Steve pulls the like pole holder and gets the flag that way. So that kind of wins over that, and him jumping on a dummy grenade to save everybody wins over him becoming Captain America. In that, he does, and things go awry. So he gets his powers, but Erskine dies, the place gets bombed, they can never make a super soldier the exact same way again, except they do. We'll find out later. But yeah, so at that, it's considered a failure because they can't make more. So Steve goes on tour to kind of basically sell war bonds and becomes Captain America, the war bond patriot, and gets sent over to perform for the troops who don't really care, but it ends up being Bucky's unit where a bunch of people disappeared. So Steve goes on a one-man mission to save everybody that was captured, including Bucky. In this, we meet the Howling Commandos, which is his, basically, squad during World War II. After he saves them, they go on countless missions with them, Agent Carter, Howard Stark, and Tommy Lee Jones's character. During one of their missions to catch Zola, Bucky seemingly dies, falling from a train. So they catch Zola and they find out where the Red Skull is and what he's planning to do, which is to basically bomb with Tesseract-infused weapons every major United States city, along with any major ally city. Sorry. So Cap goes to fight and stop the bombings. He stops it by crashing, or by beating the Red Skull, who gets again, we're talking about this as if we haven't seen the MCU. He gets incinerated by the Tesseract, sent away somewhere that we don't know where, wink wink, and Cap lands the plane in the Antarctic, thus freezing himself over and never getting to be with his love interest, Peggy Carter, who I did kind of skip over in this review, or this summary. And then we get transported to 2012, where he wakes up and realizes that he's in the future. So, as an introduction to Captain America, I think this was a fun movie. I think it's a great movie. It's honestly one of my favorite Phase 1 movies, and it's so funny to think because, like, I initially, when Phase 1 was out, didn't really care about Marvel, unless it was Spider-Man, and then I got forced to see Iron Man 2, ended up loving Iron Man, and then only wanted to see the Avengers for Iron Man, and then went back and watched the other movies and fell in love with the MCU. And this ended up being my favorite Phase 1 movie. It's very adventure-y. It harkens back to, like, Indiana Jones and, like, just fun adventure movies. I mean, it takes place during World War II. Shouldn't be a fun adventure during World War II. Vanguard. But it's still a fun adventure with a fitting villain. Red Skull is a good villain in it. It's a shame that Hugo Weaving didn't want to stick around. But fun villain. Fun way to introduce great casting characters. I feel like this was one of the first MCU films to have, like, the perfect cast, and I don't think anybody, well, besides Howard Stark, but that's complicated because we get, like, a 20-year-old Howard Stark in this versus a 56-year-old Howard Stark in, or 70, really, if you do the math, 70-year-old Howard Stark in, like, flashbacks and stuff from the 90s. it's a different actor, which that's fine. But I think this is like the first movie that hasn't had anybody recast. Because they do bring back characters from this movie into modern day later on. And like, I think that's insane that like this is one of the only ones, and they got the casting perfectly done. And the themes, the music is great. Like, Marvel has a hard time getting like noticeable scores. However, Captain America's score, Spider-Man's score, the Guardians of the Galaxy, that kind of stuff is just stand out, and Cap's is the most standout in my opinion, next to Guardians. But yeah, so I really liked this film. It's probably my 12th time watching it for this video, but I love it. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Next we're doing Agent Carter one-shot, which I haven't seen, so I'm excited to do that with you guys. So stay tuned for the next one. Make sure you have an amazing day. It's that Nerd Ryan, signing off.